Yeah, I saw this. Helen Joyce saying that she wants to reduce the number of trans people. Guys, again, I have to remind you, any claims that this might be leading to genocidal intent, completely overstated, okay? Um, completely, absolutely overstated. Prominent gender critical activist facing backlash after she called for reduction in the number of trans people. The frustrating thing here is, like, that's obviously always been the thing they care about, you know? All of the people who make their grift living off of, you know, what about the kids-ing the situation, clearly don't give a shit about children. They care about trans people and their general existence. But it always, you know, it always takes forever to arrive at this point of the discussion. Again, like, you know, not to be mean or whatever, but just a reminder that if any trans woman showed up on TV looking like this, TERFs would be saying, yeah, we can clock her. We can clock him from a mile. Yeah, actually, there's no shot at passing. Your biology, fundamentally male, could clock you at several miles away. Yeah, your biology screams testes. At someone who looks exactly like this. Here's the clip. So wondering if they had the clip somewhere here.
I think that for quite a while now, this has not been about consciousness raising. That's been irrelevant. That was important 2 or 3 years ago when there weren't enough people, but there have been enough people to be critical mass, to be funding the crowdfunders, to be writing letters to MPs, all that sort of thing, to have a movement, to have support for women and men, of course. I mean, there's people like Graham, of course, as well, who've got their necks stuck out on this. We can't win this by saying, there's 60x million people in this country and we've got to persuade all of them or a great majority of them. We've got to get through to the decision makers. And yes, in the meantime, while we're trying to get through to the decision makers, we have to try to limit the harm. And that means reducing or keeping down the number of people who transition. And that's for two reasons. One of them is that every one of those people is a person who's been damaged. But the second one is every one of those people is basically a huge problem to a sane world. Like, if you've got people that, and whether they're transitioned, whether they're happily transitioned, whether they're unhappily transitioned, whether they're detransitioned, if you've got people who've dissociated from their sex in some way, every one of those people is someone who needs special accommodation in a sane world where we...
So the interesting thing here, I think this is really revealing, because the fact that the first thing she said here is needs special accommodation, this is eugenic language. She's not making an argument in favor of the well-being of the people who transition or detransition. She's making an argument that society is more orderly when people stay in their lanes. So this has nothing to do with, what makes people happy or not happy. That being her first thing, the first thing that she would go to in terms of the moral argument is very, very weird. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't that feel a bit strange? Like, from her perspective, transitioning is like a super, mental damage, destroying your body. Imagine if there was some trend, from her perspective, some trend of kids going around and smashing their own kneecaps with a baseball bat until they're disabled and they have to be on they have to use a wheelchair or whatever, and for some reason the kids are doing it because from her perspective that's what being trans is. It's sort of a self-inflicted wound. And the first argument she has against this practice is not people are hurting themselves, but rather that they need special accommodation. Like, doesn't that seem like, from her perspective, such an odd direction to run in to begin with? Wait, is Destiny arguing with Contra now? Yes, I'm on incog, of course, because all these people have blocked me. Yes, the ultimate goal of TERFism has always been the extinction of all trans people via healthcare bans, social stigma, institutional discrimination, pure just Janice Ramon. All the defending women stuff is public relations and victim offender reversal, which is totally true. If you don't understand the defend woman POV, you shouldn't be talking about TERFs or how the movement works. Damn. Destiny coming out here to strike out against the insane lefties and their belief that TERFs are disingenuous when they talk about women's concerns being a thing that TERFs use to defend their advocacy.
Re-acknowledge the truth of sex. And I mean, the people who've been damaged by it, the children who've been put through this, those people deserve.
It's basic biology. It's basic biology. You can't argue against science. All right, sorry.
Every accommodation we can possibly make, but every one of them is a difficulty. You know?
Yes.
Look at that. Every accommodation we can make, but every one of them is a difficulty. This isn't about trans people, in her perspective, harming themselves. This is society cannot bear the weight of the Untermenschen. That may sound like an exaggeration, but this is literally the language used in that the anti-disability film that that the Nazis put out, the one that was even showed in American classrooms. What was the name of that film again? Where like the, you know, every disabled person is a burden on society and they have to be like dealt with because it ruins things for everyone else. Both named Helen. Yeah, Helen's a turf name now, I guess. Wait, a Nazi film was shown in the US? Dude, Nazis were crazy popular. Not crazy popular. They were pretty popular in the United States back before World War II got started, yeah.
Make, but every one of them is a difficulty. You
Yes.
know? And I mean, I know that sounds.
Yeah, Design und Leben. A 1942 Nazi propaganda film. Oh, wait, never mind. This was after the Second World War started, but before we got involved. About the mentally and physically disabled, the film labeled inherited mental illness as a threat to both public health and safety and called for the extermination of those affected. No, wait, is this it? Was not released to the public. The film that I'm referring to is one that was released to the public. No, this I'm thinking of a different one. Yeah, no. This one Oh, Pearl Harbor was 1941. Oh, yeah, sorry, never mind, my bad. But this isn't the right one. The film that I was referring to was an earlier one. But, yeah.
Sounds heartless. I'm trying to say exactly the opposite of sounding heartless. I'm saying every one of those people for 50, 60, 70 years is going to need things that the rest of us.
I always tend to think of the beginning of U.S. involvement being D-Day. You know, I know it's not. That's what my brain just lends that information to my head unwillingly.
Just don't need because the rest of us are just our sex. So the fewer of those people there are, the better in the sane world that I hope we will reach.
Nice. Literally just like rid the world of the impure and of the disabled because their accommodations are a drain to the rest of us. It has nothing to do with defending women. This is explicitly just a eugenicist argument. Oh yeah, and the Nazis based a lot of their eugenicist policies off of American precedent and American research and American political advocacy. The rhetoric is getting more explicit, Vosh. Is that a good or a bad thing? It's not a good thing. Do you think you'll watch the shitty What is a Woman documentary by Matt Walsh? I don't really think there's a point. I basically already addressed the arguments in it. There's nothing in there that's new, right? Also, I think it's probably copyright. Also, it's 2 hours. I can't watch a whole movie. Yeah. Like it's just going to be like a way of narrativizing the same anti-trans arguments we've always heard, right? I don't think there's anything new there. Wait, is this a different clip? Oh no, this is the extended version of the same clip. Yeah. She's explaining they need to infiltrate and go for institutional capture because they don't have the public support. They're talking about wiping out the existence of trans people, exactly like the Nazis. Yeah. I might have found the video. The Nazi propaganda film? Part of a Nazi educational / propaganda film. Jesus, I can't pronounce these. Aufklärungsfilm? Oh no, that just means propaganda. Rassenpolitisch Amt. Well, what's the name of the film? No, wait. Event 1937. This might be it. Erbkrank? Hereditarily disabled? Look, whatever. Anyway, yeah. Transgenocide by guns, blah, blah. Is there a reason why the right stopped targeting the gays and are now going full-blown offensive to the trans community? Because all civil rights exist on a continuum. The continuum's placement is arbitrary. The order in which things are arranged is arbitrary, but it exists on a continuum nonetheless. Here in America, and in many places, we have, acceptance of gay people, gay marriage, like trans people, non-binary people, like blah blah blah. Like kids can be trans. The idea is that if they attack the structure at any point and succeed in doing so, they can then refer to everything which came before that point as the necessary follow-up, or the follow-through to the thing they just attacked. So if they like culturally prove that trans kids are degeneracy destroying our society, then they can go, oh, well, gay marriage enabled this, So they get to go back. They get to attack even further back. That's why it's always important to form a unified front, to always defend like the current progressive thing. Even if you're not captured in there, you always stand up front because you'll be rolled back along with whatever it is they're attacking at the moment. They go after what they think is weakest at the moment. That's the thing they care about. Okay, Vosh, in the Matt Walsh documentary, there's a scene. Oh yeah, Demon Mama, I saw this. Dude, Matt Walsh is such a fucking retard. Holy shit. Creator Clash, I hope. God, what is he, 5'8"? Oh, I could suplex him. Yeah, there's a point where he tries to disprove the idea that some ancient societies had a flexible understanding of gender by flying to Africa and talking to a random, like, group of tribespeople. Like, literally, like, there are some ancient societies that have had different understandings of gender, and then he just flies to find some random black people wearing loincloths or some shit. I don't fucking know. Somewhere in Africa, some tribe. Do you think that? No? Oh, well, okay. I'm 5'8", then don't get in a wrestling match with me. Actually, wrestling does benefit shorter people. The shorter you are relative to your weight, the more likely you are to win because you have a lower center of balance.